Fantastic. Alrighty. So we will kick things off. So hi, everybody. Ooh, hi from Brazil. My name is Elizabeth. I'm on the Wade and Wendy team, and I'm also one of the conference. So we're really excited about today's conversation, PepsiCo's lessons learned on the artificial intelligence for talent acquisition journey. So I'd like to introduce Athena Karp, CEO and founder of HiredScore, who will be moderating the talk. So please enjoy. And as a reminder, on the chat box under the sessions tab, it's where you can directly ask questions of our session participants. And please enjoy.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having us. And thank you all for joining and on time, which is amazing. We are going to kick off in a second. We'll give people one more minute. Yeah, I see the numbers just keep going up. But while you guys wait, just to give you a quick intro, our panel, we're not going to be doing slides. We're going to have a discussion, bit of slide fatigue. And the PepsiCo team with Steph and Erin have amazing lessons learned and insights to share. So as a discussion we feel would be best, which I'm going to moderate. I'm the CEO founder of HiredScore, started the company 8 years ago. All we've ever focused on is how can we data-driven agendas to the global Fortune 500. And we've been working with PepsiCo. We actually went live in 2018, started designing and working with them, actually 2017 on visions and plans. Erin, Steph, if you want to give a quick intro.
Sure, I'm happy to go first. I'm Erin Garzon. I'm a talent acquisition manager at PepsiCo. I've been with PepsiCo for about 9 years. In the last 3 of those years, I've been really specializing in reporting and analytics, and then just most recently actually within the last year, I've assumed ownership of some of our technology solutions, one of which is HiredScore. So I partner really closely with Stephanie Keith, who's also with us today, to manage really all things HiredScore, from implementation to enhancements to user adoption. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here to talk to you guys about our journey. So thanks for having us.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Keith, and as you can probably hear, my dogs decided to join this conference as well. The mailman must be delivering mail. But I've been with PepsiCo for 2.5 years. I'm a senior analyst on the GHRO team supporting TA tools. I was a part of the implementation with HiredScore about 2.5 years ago. It's one of my first projects that I worked on when I joined PepsiCo. So happy to tell you about our journey.
Great. So I think it would be great just in kicking off, you know, when the PepsiCo team came to us, they found us as a solution and had a vision for how to really transform the candidate experience, the recruiter experience, the hiring manager experience, and on a global scale and level. So one of the things we want to talk about, I guess, is being live now with a artificial intelligence for TA solution for more than 2 years. You're well ahead of probably many of the conference attendees just in that adoption, engagement, and then kind of seeing the ROI and value, but also seeing lessons learned, expected challenges, unexpected challenges, and sharing successes. So that's going to be the framework for our discussion. I think would be great, Steph and Erin, if you wanted maybe to highlight some of the expected challenges and how maybe combating or selecting a vendor that can support you in them has yielded fruits. I know one of the things you mentioned was, you know, as a global company, you can't just have an AI solution in North America. You have to roll that out. I know with PepsiCo, we're live in a number of different territories, from Brazil, Mexico, Ireland, you know, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, India, Egypt, all with different nuances. Maybe it would be helpful if you could share just some of the challenges with a global implementation of an AI that you found on your journey and some of the wins.
Sure. So I think initially our, plan was to roll it out just out of the box, one kind of platform for global, and we really found that didn't work. So we've been able with HiredScore to tailor, for Mexico and Brazil's needs, to, have a tool that it's something that's really going to work for them in the way that they recruit. And also, the same way for North America. They, have the same goals, but different ways that they use the system and how they, recruit for their roles.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add to that I think like any large organization, right? I think each of our markets is really so different in their recruitment process. So everything from, the levels that they would recruit for, the businesses that they might recruit for, even within PepsiCo. And I think their recruiter behaviors and their workflow, so how they're using like our existing systems, is very different. And then one of the challenges is that every market seems to be kind of like on a different journey with technology. So I think some are, in a different place with adoption of like our existing tools. And I think that was a challenge that we expected, but it's a challenge nonetheless that some have even, struggled with adoption of our ATS. So how do we introduce a tool, an AI, right, to a market that's just not as tech savvy? And Steph already mentioned it, but I think for us, the unlock is being able to have that flexibility to kind of tailor the tool to the individual markets. So
great. And I think actually connects to one of the expected challenges that we all knew going into this was, different adoption and use trends of an AI, both by market. So, right, for example, adopting your on Connexa offering as an ATS, adopting Connexa in Brazil and India versus North America has its own set of challenges. So AI is not unique to that. I think general HR tech you found, but maybe just in even deeper with AI, recruiters and users that kind of switch very quickly to that post AI workflow versus those that might struggle more with, for example, you guys are live with Fetch, the sourcing automation, and as soon as the rec is created, passively sourcing talent and going to that as a source versus the post, pray, wait 2 to 3 weeks, see who applies, and only then activate your passive pool. So if you could talk a little bit more, I guess, around the change management aspect, the behavior shift, just what's been the most successful formula for you guys in unlocking that?
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about on a call recently, we've talked about some of the unexpected challenges. And honestly, I think everybody, when you roll out a new tool, is expecting to have to invest a lot in adoption of the users. And I think, and sort of like an unexpected challenge for me at least, and especially where I'm coming kind of later in the game, was that sustained change management plan, or having to really invest in continued adoption of the tool. Because here we had this tool that to me has really like straightforward value, and we still saw recruiters weren't leveraging it. So it's kind of it was challenging to see, like, we saw the value. It's, even they could have seen the value, but I think it was really hard to like infiltrate some of those really ingrained processes that some of our recruiters had. And I think one of the things that has been really helpful is kind of having this equal partnership with HiredScore, with you guys, to really kind of get in there one-on-one with our recruiters and offer just kind of a hypercare level of support. Even now that we're, years in, still offering that, I think has been really, really critical to getting an adoption in some of our markets.
Yeah, I would just piggyback off of that and, say that prior to rolling out this tool, everybody was really excited about it. People are ready to ditch working in Connexa. And then, as you tend to see, once they have the tool, now they want to use the tool that they didn't like previously. So a lot of people had, stayed working in Connexa, and it really was that change management push of, showing them, the features of HiredScore over and over again, partnering with the HiredScore team. We've had many training sessions, one-on-ones, and that really has been why we are where we are with the tool, because of that partnership. I think if we didn't have that and the support from HiredScore, then it wouldn't be as successful as it is.
Yeah. I know one other point that as I'm like thinking back on things that I feel like are successful in trying to get people to kind of buy into the tool or adopt it is in some cases we've taken sort of like a beta approach or a pilot approach to new projects where the users can provide feedback on how it's working for their specific recruitment processes. And I think that's been just really successful in kind of getting their buy-in, making them feel like we're not pushing a tool on them that's, was implemented in the US. So now you guys are going to use it. It makes it feel like it's for them because it is. So I think that's been kind of a key model for HiredScore for you guys to roll out new products, but it's been really successful for our team, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have a question from the group of just for those uninitiated, what is PepsiCo using HiredScore for? There's a fetch solution which does sourcing automation. PepsiCo, not surprisingly, given its brand name and market reputation, gets north of 1 million applications a year globally in the ATS. So we are able to surface great candidates who didn't make it in the job that they applied for in being hired, or applied kind of to the wrong job for them and reactivate them to a better fit role, as well as PepsiCo uses Avature, which is a CRM for passive candidates, talent communities. We activate the leads in there as well for sourcing. And then also we have an internal fetch that we support, especially in some geographies, with employee recommendations in PepsiCo, as well as a hiring manager, hiring efficiency suite. Steph, Erin, anything else you want to mention? Great question, just for context of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I do see, like, as a follow-up to that question, how is HiredScore to help recruiters and hiring managers? It really has streamlined their deck, if you would say. So it allows them to see key insights and filter in ways that they can't in Connexa. It also has great search capability. So it really allows them to be more efficient in managing candidates. And I think how we look at it is like Connexa is used for managing the rec and HiredScore is used for managing candidates. It allows them to very quickly review the candidates and get back to them, either dispositioning them or reaching out to them to schedule a phone interview. So it's definitely streamlined their efforts. And then through the hiring manager hub, they're able to send the hiring manager a short list, which they can go in and take action on in the hub. So they can choose to proceed or not proceed, where previously we were using email. So it was a lot of Outlook back and forth, and this really eliminates that and streamlines their processes and interactions with the hiring manager.
Yeah. So I think two questions, and trying to manage answering all the questions and also making sure we get to the panel, just the contents. One of the things that I do think connects quite well is under the unexpected challenges that maybe people don't think as deeply about, is system connectivity. And especially when we set out on the journey with Pepsi, the stack was more simplified, right? So it was an ATS, a CRM, and an HCM. And then over the years, as you guys are leading innovators, as the stack has gotten more complex, a chatbot, a video interview module, assessment, some clients have tech tests, and others. I think just in the PepsiCo team's experience, because we do have that question about integration, we often hear integration spoken about maybe in a more basic way, a one-way integration or a simplistic integration. Definitely an unexpected challenge in the hindrance of attaining ROI, probably when that integration is not seamless two-way. And at PepsiCo, we have live our Nucleus framework, which brings all those pieces together seamlessly for that end user on a systems level, a data level, and an end user experience level. So I think, Steph and Erin, may be worth discussing both from a standpoint of other technologies. You had shared with me one such vendor that you were excited about, but that integration depth or connectivity was really the barrier of even using it at all, and just some of the things you've seen from that standpoint.
Yeah, Steph, I don't know if you want to talk more to the systems piece since that's your wheelhouse, but I would just say that to echo Athena's point, I think it is so important that we have that seamless integration, because from a user standpoint, our recruiters, like most, right? One click is too many. Like, we need it to be as seamless as possible and as integrated as possible. So when we approach a vendor that's not kind of willing to integrate in the way that we want, it is a big barrier. So Steph, you can talk to all the technical integrations, but
yeah, I think one key example is Modern Hire. So we do use them for video interviewing, and we also have rolled out additional functionality with them through text interviews, on demand, and live. So with that enhancement to Modern Hire, it really is, it was causing the recruiters to work in Connexa and HiredScore, to go to Connexa to view those videos, and then back to HiredScore to finish managing the candidate. So with using the Nucleus, that will really bring that functionality directly in HiredScore, and it's going to eliminate those extra clicks that Erin was referring to, where they can do all of their work within HiredScore, and not just with other vendors and technologies we have, but HiredScore has really partnered with us to make sure that the recruiter can effectively or efficiently do their job within HiredScore. So we, needed the possibility to send forms and communications from HiredScore, because the recruiters did not want to leave HiredScore to go back into Connexa to do those tasks. So HiredScore has partnered with us and has made those features available so that the recruiter can really do all of their work within their HiredScore dashboard.
Great. So I know we just have another minute or two. I think just in closing, key takeaways for this audience, especially as many of them either begin or maybe are, half a year or a year into their AI-enabled TA journeys, closing items you wish you knew that now you know, or just best practices to share with the crowd would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said change management before, but I definitely think that is, for anybody that's venturing into this for the first time, really don't underestimate, how ingrained the behaviors are in your recruiters or whoever's going to be using the tool, and just make sure that you're kind of set up to provide that continued training and engagement. And then kind of putting on my reporting and analytics hat, I think this may seem obvious, but I think making sure that you define, your goals and your KPIs well in advance. I think that's something that we all do, but it can easily get lost in implementation, right, when you're rolling out a tool. So just make sure that you can really articulate what your ROI is and, what that means for your team and how you can quantify it, would be my two takeaways.
Yeah, I would second what Erin said, along the lines of change management. That definitely has been a key learning for us. And I would also say change management for, current managers, hiring managers, HR VPs, anybody that might have some interaction with the tool, whether it's direct or indirect. Because I do think when we rolled out internal fetch, we missed the mark a little bit on informing even employees to go into My P&D and update their profile so that they could be proactively sourced. So I think, really change management all around, and then really leaning on HiredScore and partnering with them has been crucial for us. And that really has been a lot of our success has been to go to them with questions or enhancements and talk through certain challenges that we might have. So I would definitely say to lean on them, but maybe not too much so that we still get their attention.
Great. Well, I think from the, are we out of time? Do we have another minute?
I think we're right.
Moderator? We're what? We do have time. Great. I think one of the items that, when we had spoken with you all was just this notion of customizations and a vendor's roadmap, PepsiCo's roadmap, and the vendor plus PepsiCo roadmap. So maybe worth, I think, just a mention on that, this notion of when you work with companies that are different in how they think and what they do, and most of the largest global companies are there because they've thought differently. Maybe worth, I think, you guys mentioning that vendor partner relationship that you've seen be most successful in how can you clearly articulate your needs, how can you maybe adopt roadmap items that might be a second or third priority, but are generally, everyone needs versus the PepsiCo specific needs, and that balance would be great.
Erin.
Is that for me? No, I mean, I think we've touched in it, already a little bit, that I think it is so important that we partner. So I think that we, at least on our team, have tried to identify what are those needs that we have on a global scale, what are our needs for our individual markets, and have brought that information to HiredScore. And I think we've, collaborated really well to say, this is what's possible, this isn't what's possible. And, what I really appreciate about our relationship is some of the, not pushback, but some of the challenging, right, about, what's the reason for doing this? Is it the right thing to do? And even pushing us to advance. I think one of the things that we've really benefited from is HiredScore oftentimes comes to us with, have you thought of this? This could work really well for you. This is a new product. So at least I feel like our relationship is really collaborative, and we kind of built that roadmap together of where we're going.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think, once we rolled out the US, we had said, other countries are interested, like, where are you going next? And I think, there was a point where, we had a few recruiters in Thailand and Pakistan that you guys weren't live with yet. And you were like, maybe we can make this happen. So I think just being so open and receptive to, what our requirements are. And we are a very unique company with a lot of complexities. And I think that you really listen to, how we're structured and what our needs are, and are able to kind of shape your roadmap around supporting that, as well as supporting other clients where we understand that if it's something that another company could use and, or everybody could utilize, that's something that might be happening a little quicker than something that's just like niche for PepsiCo. But I think, there is that pushback, but there's also a lot of flexibility and a lot of, we'll do the research and see if that's something that's possible, which is something that other vendors don't do. A lot of those big, ATS companies and other companies, if you give them feedback, you'll likely die before you hear anything. So I think
that's to be dramatic.
That's dramatic. I don't think I've ever heard my last request for oracles. That was a time couple months ago. But I think just how open you are to the feedback and to really working towards solutions and really supporting us along the way and along our journey on figuring it out. We're constantly evolving and trying to streamline, different aspects with Frontline and with Campus. And you have always really supported that agenda and tailored, to, or, catered was the word I'm looking for, to our needs.
Yeah, both tailored and catered.
Yeah. All of it. Well, you do it all.
We did get some questions about compliance as well as ROI and metrics. I think in the case of PepsiCo, and you can ask Erin or Steph of specifics that they want to disclose, but it's really about recruiter efficiency, time to present, time overall to fill, time of getting to the candidates who are most relevant. And then in the sourcing automation, it's reducing sourcing costs, dramatically reducing sourcing time, and in the manager, just reducing a lot of that friction between recruiters and hiring managers of the review process, the feedback process, digitizing a lot of that, which I think before at PepsiCo and most orgs is offline between text, emails, phone calls, and then prevents quantifying where is the gap and where is the problem. So.
Yeah, I would say I think a big seller in the beginning was that you guys are OFCC compliant, and that is definitely something that and you brought to the table all of the supporting documentation, and that really wasn't a challenge to kind of move forward, especially like in the U.S. and other countries. It's not a barrier, but here, as with most companies, that's extremely important to make sure that you are. And I think that was the supporting documentation, all of the meetings you attended with legal and with talent management, and we're still having more talent management, has been great. And that, you are the SME on the tool, and being able to really present that in a way that, is what is needed for getting that approval and moving forward.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining. I think we're up on time. I think it said until 12:30, but we're allowed to keep going. I could talk with Erin and Steph all day, and see our crowds are still here. So if you guys do have questions, Erin and Steph are obviously both leaders in implementing AI for TA at PepsiCo, and then generally in how they think about roadmap and vision and plans, and always pushing us as a vendor for, whether it's the next country or the next user type who needs to be unlocked, they play a minor role. So very grateful to partner with them, get to work with them and their team, and appreciate all of you all joining our session.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you, guys.
And thanks, Athena. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye.